All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual coming off of an emphatic victory and a very entertaining one at Karate Combat, which transpired on June the 25th, a featherweight bout, and Gabriel Varga garnering the unanimous decision over Bruno Assis. And happy to be talking to Gabriel once again. How are you feeling, man? I imagine you're on cloud nine after that one.
I'm happy. I mean, I went in expecting the win, so I didn't get, too excited with it. It was just, something that was supposed to happen. But, still it's nice to have the first one done and to sort of start moving forward towards that title shot in Karate Combat.
Yeah, for sure, and that's, an awesome goal to have right from the jump because, obviously you were very decorated in kickboxing with world title accolades, so that's something you're looking to achieve there. Do you have, a defined timeline for when you think that could happen, in terms of, maybe a certain amount of wins you might have to rack together to get to that point there, or maybe not so much?
I think two. I think two is what we're going to be looking at. Karate Combat, as you said, they looked at everything I'd achieved in kickboxing and basically just asked me, do you want to go right into a title shot or what do you want? And I said, I think the two is important just because it's a completely different dynamic being in the pit and the rule set's slightly different gloves. So just adjustments that need to be made before I have that confidence and comfort level where I actually want to go for the title.
Yeah, and to that point, what was it like being in the pit? How did it compare, in terms of, your game interfacing with it relative to, some other combat frameworks you've been in previously?
Not having the stopping point, really, where you can pin somebody against, the cage or the ring, it was difficult, and I didn't have a prep time. I literally got in the cage, the pit. I got in the pit about 18 hours before I fought. We had about 5 minutes in it just to move around, and even in that short period of time, I discovered a couple things, which, that's not enough time to really make any massive adjustments to actually utilize the pit to your advantage. So we just looked at a couple things to be wary of, and now moving forward, I know exactly what I need to do to make sure I can perform better in that new stage.
Yeah, and is that something that you can curate into your training camp? Is there something you took away from that competition experience where you can curate a similar kind of dynamic in your training camp? Or it just, the unique nature of it being, a pit and just everything like that, does it make it just, a framework that you have to, get out there and kind of get the experience and the reps in a competition sense, mostly?
I think the reps will, the fights will really help, but I really believe I just need to create something. People go into gyms, and if they don't have enough room for a standard size ring, they make a small one. Or if they don't have enough room for a cage, they'll just put up a one wall cage. So I think I need to do something like that, recreate one corner of the pit, just so I can practice working off and using it to my advantage, not disadvantage, because I definitely felt like it hindered my performance as opposed to strengthened it. So I just need to make sure that I'm taking advantage of all the little assets that the edge of the pit provides.
Yeah, and just what did you think of the general, I guess, aesthetic kind of setup of the whole thing? Because it's pretty unique, stepping into the karate-verse and all that. It's almost like a video game, Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter in real life kind of vibe they have going on. Did you enjoy that kind of aspect of it?
I really enjoyed it. I did. I think they're doing a smart thing as opposed to other organizations where they come in and they try and compete with one another. These guys are doing their own thing. They're going for a young audience. The people who watch Cobra Kai, I think that's sort of their target audience, and they're going after those people, and they know that adding in that new element, which you won't see in other fight sports, is just going to be something that will help draw that fan base. And it was just a really great atmosphere at the event. Everything was exciting. It felt new for me, and I think they're doing a great job. They're on the right track to becoming very popular.
And it must have been cool for you. I mean, you've expressed yourself very well in a multitude of combat disciplines, but just being that you're a 4th degree black belt in Shotokan, I imagine it was cool to get back to a more roots kind of representation of what you've done and have it as a full contact kind of thing too, as opposed to maybe certain points karate kind of outfits and stuff like that. So that must have been really cool for you, just getting back to the roots of it all and getting that comprehensive full karate expression there.
It was. I've not really considered myself a karate practitioner over the last decade, just because, I fell in love with kickboxing and just put my whole heart into becoming the best I could in that one discipline. But before that, for, a couple decades, I always thought of myself as a karate practitioner solely. So being able to go back to that, but like you said, not having to, I didn't want to say almost water it down with, point fighting style stuff. It was really nice to be able to do that. The guys at Karate Combat, I think, are also looking to adjust rules as they progress, and good fight sports or any sports have to do that. They have to make adjustments to what the audience wants. So I think we'll see a little less of the point fighting sort of karate thing. Like right now, it's focused mostly above the belt. There's a few calf kicks, but we might see it open up a little bit more, and something that's going to be more inclusive for the other karate practitioners like Kyokushin or Yoshikai. Like they'll be able to come in and bring those guys into the promotion as well.
Yeah, because I imagine it would be a fairly different feeling than like when you were, preparing for MMA, because we were talking before your Bellator 224 fight there, and you were saying MMA preparation can be kind of scary. I would think Karate Combat maybe almost felt like the total opposite in a sense, just because of like the tradition and like the roots and the connectivity that you have with it. Is that a fair way to kind of characterize that feeling, or was there a level of like, oh, like how's this gonna go? Like a level of like having to navigate it, like the pit. Like how would you say the mindset was leading into the debut there?
I was much more calm than when I talked to you about my MMA. I was scared for my MMA fights just because I was going. I know I'm unprepared. That's the issue. It's not. I can prepare. It's just there's not enough time, and I know I'm going in a little bit exposed, and I don't like that feeling. And it was scary. Whereas on this one, I went, okay, you know what? There's a few changes, but for the most part, they're not going to do anything that I haven't seen before. So even my wife commented on this one. There's a combination of me being excited to return to competition and just being comfortable with the rule set. She was just saying, you seem really happy this fight camp and you're not grumpy, because sometimes I get grumpy because I'm nervous. So she said it was one of the best she's ever seen me sort of, I guess just in terms of how I was around the house and how happy I was. So yeah, it was a good training camp experience prepping up, but after the fight and some of the mistakes I've made, I know I have to go back and start making adjustments so I can improve on the next one.
Yeah, well, I'd think, too, there'd probably be a level of relief in just getting to come back there. Like, obviously, COVID was playing a role in some of that for a while, keeping you out for a bit over 2 years, but it seemed like there was, like, some testing of the free agency, like, just trying to find, like, what was out there and what would be the best fit there. So like maybe that was playing into it too, like just a level of catharsis and relief, just knowing that you have like the next kind of task lined up and you know where you're going to be competing under and all.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was a hard decision over the last couple of years because I loved competing for Bellator. They're a great promotion just to be under. But I was there to kickbox, and then they stopped the kickboxing, and that just kind of wrenched my plans out from underneath me because I was just going, I'll probably retire with Bellator. And then all of a sudden I was going, okay, I don't have them to fight for anymore unless I want to do MMA, and I don't love it enough to at this age to continue. And then I talked to ONE FC, which they're doing great things, but they just are not putting the level of interest on the North American fighters. So I just didn't feel like they were going to be the right way to go, and negotiations were so slow. And then I looked at other promotions, and Karate Combat was, it was just a good fit. They were super excited to have me there. As they said this week when I was with them, they just really went the extra mile to welcome me to the promotion. They, sent somebody out to get the pre-fight video footage, and when I got there, everybody was just so happy to have me. So it was a good spot to be, and moving forward, I'm happy to be. I have a long-term contract with them, so I'm happy to be tied in with them for the next few years.
Yeah, I was seeing that, and then also in the hype package for your debut effort there, you were saying you wanted to finish your career with Karate Combat there. So it seems like you're quite happy there. It seems like the elation is definitely high for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I signed with them, I went, I'm not into doing a fight or two with promotions. I want to be here. If you want me, let's do something long term, because I want to make sure that we're working together. I don't want to just jump into a promotion and be like, okay, I'm gone in a couple fights and then have to do the whole thing over, and we don't really help each other. I want to be there. I want them to help me out, because being one of the best kickboxers in the world is great, but if I can go in and become one of the best karate guys as well, it does nothing but benefit my, I don't want to say legacy because I'm not into those terms, but just sort of what I've accomplished. It's going to definitely help it out. And then for myself, with my YouTube channel and everything I've achieved, I hopefully can help draw a new fan base to the promotion. So long term's the way to go.
Yeah, and how has that been? I always feel like when we talk, I like to get the updates on the YouTube channel, but it seems like you've been having a lot of fun with that for sure. A lot of cool topics and just really a lot of great insights and real consistent with it too there. And it looks like you're going to do one on the, Karate Combat debut on the Instagram there from what I'm seeing and stuff like that. So how's the YouTube channel been lately? How's that been going for you, man?
It's been great. I really love it. I was able to chat with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson when we were there, and he was joking around when we were doing some filming. He's like, man, do you almost feel now like the YouTube is taking over? Like it's more important than the fighting? And I'm not at that point yet, but it's definitely getting there where I'm going. The YouTube is something I'm really passionate about, and the amount of messages and positive feedback I receive from people saying that they're like, oh, you helped me win my fight, or I went into a gym for the first time and the guy thought I'd been training for a couple of years and they'd only learned from me. I was just going, those are such nice things to hear, and anything that I can do at this point in my career to help other people get better, even if we're not on the same continent, it's just something that feels really, really inspiring to get up in the morning and make sure I put a video out every day.
Yeah, and it's something you can do forever, realistically, offering people insights and stuff like that. But that must be a great feeling to, get that feedback from people and everything like that. And it does seem like a very positive kind of community, even in the comment section and general interaction and stuff like that. It never seems oriented to mudslinging or negativity. So it must be cool to curate a kind of community like that there.
Yeah, it's kind of like in Karate Kid. They had a quote, I think, there's no such thing as a bad student, there's only bad teachers. So, if I go in and I'm negative, then obviously it's going to help spur on all the negative comments. But I try to tell people, even when I do a small criticism of somebody's performance, I try to say, let's stay positive, and we're not here to criticize this person, we're just here to learn so other people can make adjustments and not make the same mistake. So I hope by me keeping everything positive, it's one of the reasons the community is just putting it forward, everything good intentions, good vibes, because that's what I want. That's what I think everything should be in martial arts. We don't need to sling words back and forth and belittle other people. We're all going to get better by staying positive.
Yeah, that's an awesome way to look at it for sure, man. But I kind of wanted to talk about the specific fight, just in as far as if it existed outside of any preconceived notions you might have had. Did Bruno Assis bring anything to the table that maybe caught you off guard as it related to the game plan you established, or did everything kind of go according to plan?
It went more or less according to plan, but he had a few things which I was just surprised, positive for him, that just surprised me. So number one, when we watched his fights, I always went, man, after the first round, his chest is heaving, and he doesn't stop. Got to give him credit for that, but he's tired, and I figured with my pace and everything, he would slow down hard. But I was just watching the fight for the first time today, and I went, wow, his control over his lungs and his chest heaving, all, he did a good job. So I think he might have pushed his cardio a little extra or something, so that was impressive. And then the right round kick, which I knew he threw over and over and over, we trained to catch it, and I just had trouble catching it with the angle he threw, but also the speed. He was a lot faster on the kick in person than I thought he was when I watched video footage, and everything else was sort of what we were expecting. I knew he'd be tough. I knew he'd be a hard guy to put away. When I showed up at the weigh-ins and I saw him the first day on fight week, I went, holy smokes, this guy's head is enormous, and his neck is 50% bigger than mine. And all of that helps play roles, not consistently, it's a rule of thumb, but a lot of time when guys have big necks and big heads, they're tough and they're hard to put down. So, I clipped him with a couple of good shots. I went, man, this guy is just not going anywhere. I'm in for the whole fight, I think. So I was impressed with him. It was a little harder than I thought it would be, but I tried to keep my mindset on the fact that it would be a hard fight. So I didn't prep up for anything easy and then was surprised.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like, at least from like a layman's perspective, that you sustained a great deal of damage. And we were talking about the lengthy layoff you had previously. Is there a certain desire to want to get back to it sooner rather than later? Like, obviously, want to let you enjoy the victory you have now and all that, but I would think you'd want to have like a pretty regular strength of schedule, just with the backdrop of like the hiatus and everything like that, and the nature of the win there.
Absolutely. It would be nice to be more consistent. I've been a fairly inactive fighter throughout my whole career compared to most people. I mean, when you look at, I've been competing now since 2006. So we're talking 16 years, I guess, and I only have 45 fights. So that's not too many, and I've definitely had these big gaps here and there. So I'm hoping that I can correct that now that I have the contract signed, and, you know, every 3 or 4 months I can get a fight. That seems like a nice amount, because that means for me approximately 10-week training camp, and then I have a little bit of time off in between before the next one. Nothing too long, but enough that I can get the break. And I just feel like with the consistency, I'll be able to just make sure my fight game continues to elevate, as opposed to taking breaks in between where you just kind of run stationary, you just run at the same level.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see that for sure, a more regular rate of activity there. And just, you know, cool to see you in that kind of a framework too. It seems like a natural fit in many regards. But yeah, been really cool getting to, you know, chat a little bit, man. Always fun getting to chop it up for sure. And hopefully we can get a little something happening before the sophomore effort in the pit here. But just in the interest of, you know, letting you enjoy the rest of your day and kind of decompress a little bit, Gabriel, is there anything you might want to like add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up here, man?
You know, I just want to tell everybody out there, I'm going to do a video on it this week, but there's a lot of fighters out there who are always looking for promotions to sign with, and I've been with a decent number of promotions, and sometimes they treat you really well, and sometimes they treat you quite mediocre, and people should be on the lookout. If they have any karate experience, you know, they're not just taking guys who are solely karate practitioners. They're just looking for people who have some experience in karate, and if you're looking for a promotion, new and upcoming, that's going to treat you well, it looks like these guys are the place, because I left with really no massive complaints, which is odd for me after a full week of working with a promotion. I usually have a few things where I go, I didn't like that. And these guys were top level, so people are looking, they can head over to their website and apply there. I think it's a pretty unique opportunity and unique promotion to grow with.
Yeah, it seems like there's a great upward, you know, trajectory with the company, and it seems like your trajectory is aligning with that there for sure, man. So great getting to talk to you after that Bruno Assis victory, and just looking forward to seeing what else transpires with you under that Karate Combat banner. And yeah, thanks so much for the time, Gabriel, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day there, man.
Thanks, same to you, Dylan.